What's this week look like for you then?
We will be in tomorrow as a staff. Our players are off until Monday, but we'll be in tomorrow as a staff doing a lot of self-scout, and then we'll give the coaches off until Monday.
Injuries aside, could you kind of get a sense, just with the bye week being so late, that the guys were really in need of a bye week at this point?
Well, I think, yeah, it's been a long time. I mean, it's been, 12 weeks we're into this thing, and we gave them a couple days off after that Thursday night game, and then as well as going into the start of the regular season. But, yeah, these guys they've been grinding hard. I think I was really impressed with everybody's ability to stay focused and making sure that they gave their best effort last night. I thought it was extremely important that we were all on the same page there, and I was really proud of our guys' effort, and I thought they came through.
With, as hard as it was to get to this late bye, the fact that you got here at 9-3, can a bye this late in the season really work to your advantage, do you think?
Well, that's what we hope. You always want the bye to work to your advantage. Hopefully it'll allow some of our guys to get some much-needed rest to recharge the battery and potentially get some of these guys that have been on IR or that have sustained injuries to get them back to in a better position to be close to 100%. I don't think anybody is 100% at this time of the season, but certainly you want your guys to be as fresh as possible.
Man, is it good news and encouraging that Aaron's not going to have surgery and time will heal this? Is that the best case scenario?
Yeah, I don't know where that's at. I know he's gathering other opinions, so we'll see where that goes.
What's the general sense you get from medical staff just about whether that thing heals when he plays? I mean, does it get worse every time he plays, or is there this hope that after 2 weeks it could be significantly better?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I don't know how the time frame for that to heal. I know he's battling through. I think you could see it at the end of the game as the game wears on. He starts to have a more noticeable limp, but he's as tough as they come, man. He's played through so many things throughout the course of his career, and I think it's definitely, he's a guy that wants to be out there at practice too. He wants to be out there practicing with his teammates, and not only for himself, but for those other guys, and making sure that everybody is on top of their game.
And, the top thing came up suddenly to us in the press box. I mean, he catches a touchdown, all of a sudden, second half, we hear he's out. You know what happened, or the severity, or anything like that with him?
Yeah, I don't have any updates in terms of the severity. We're still kind of gathering opinions, but yeah, he got hurt on that touchdown catch, and it's a big time credit to him to be able to hang on. And afterwards, I was kind of giving the guys some grief for he's in the end zone, and they're like pushing him around, and he's kind of hobbling, and you can subtly see it on the tape.
Coming out of the backfield on that.
I guess. He provided us with a lot of explosive plays and some big time plays last night. To have 4 catches for 95 yards in one half of work, that's big time.
Now you guys obviously changed returners there, and then there was the other fumble, and I know Mason made a couple, but he did miss a makeable one. What's your level of comfort with just special teams overall heading into the bye?
I think a lot of the negative plays get magnified, rightfully so. I mean, but I think there's a lot of positive plays too. When I look at just how well our punt unit's done, I think our protection's gotten better as the year's gone on, and I think our gunners are doing a heck of a job getting down there, covering punts. I think Bojo has done an outstanding job. I mean, we pinned one on the 1 yard line. We had another one on like the 10-yard line. So I think our punt unit has done an outstanding job. Certainly, I think our punt return, I think we got to do some better things there in terms of just making sure that we field balls when given the opportunity. And certainly, you never want to have a muff. I think our kickoff coverage unit has done some pretty good things. And then, you'd like to always get more out of our kickoff return unit. And then anytime that you miss any kick, it's going to be magnified. So I thought overall our operation has gotten steadily better just between those three guys, and I think our protection as the season has progressed has gotten noticeably better on our PAT field goal unit. So I'm encouraged. Certainly, is it perfect? Absolutely not. And we'll continue to work on the things that aren't perfect, but I'm encouraged. I think these guys have really taken special teams to heart. I think there's a great energy with the guys that are out there playing. It's awesome to see guys that are contributing on offense or on defense, busting their butt on special teams. I think Equinemius St. Brown's a guy that is been noticeable, on kickoff cover as a gunner. And we've got a handful of other guys, too, that have really made their mark.
Matt, you're like, I think, 30th in red zone defense and like 27th in third down defense, and yet you're 5th in scoring. How does that happen? What do you think's been the overriding factor?
Well, we've done a good job of, keeping teams out of the red zone, but when they get down there, it hasn't been up to our standard. Certainly, I think if you go back 2 weeks ago, when you have teams in 3rd and long, especially in the red zone, there was like 2 3rd and 10 conversions for touchdowns. We just can't allow those ones to happen. We got to be better in those situations.
And every team is different with injuries each year, but have you been around a group that has had maybe less heralded guys step up like this group has? Have you ever been around a team that's done what this group's done that way?
I don't know if I've ever been around a team that suffered this many injuries. So, it is encouraging that we're sitting at where we are right now at 9-3, and having to battle through so much adversity and getting guys that maybe normally might not get as much playing time as they have. I think hopefully that'll benefit us down the stretch. I do see an improvement with a lot of these guys that are coming into the game and stepping up, and just I think it's a big time credit to them as individuals, but also to our coaches getting guys ready to play. It's a great credit to Goody and his staff for providing us with players that have given us really good depth.
Man, how's this team better, or not better, I should say, but how is this team different than your past two teams?
I think every team's a little bit different, but just in terms of some of the adversity and showing the resiliency to be able to perform against some really good teams, I think has been pretty fun to watch, to see other guys step up. A guy like Yash getting his opportunity in there and doing a great job. There's been so many guys, Rasul Douglas coming in, making big plays for us. So it's been fun to watch these guys kind of grow together, grow as a team, come closer together, more united. And, I think that we have to continue to work because there's areas of improvement in all three phases where we know we can get better. But that's exciting. So we know that there's a lot of work, a lot of ball out in front of us, and we've got to attack each day with the same mindset of we have to find ways to get better and keep pushing each other from, player to player, player to coach, coach to player, just all of us trying to do, our job as best we can.
Speaking of Rasul and the rest of the secondary, I mean, it was a light box most of the day, not a lot of extra pressure on Matt. Just talk about the combativeness they showed, I guess a very good passing team, got their hands on a lot of balls.
Yeah, I thought our guys did an outstanding job in the back end. We were very well coordinated. I thought when needed, I thought there was some good pressure on the quarterback, just moving him off the spot. It was encouraging to see us play. We played a lot of split safety, which can kind of sometimes be a detriment in the run game. But I thought our guys did an outstanding job in the run game as well. There were a couple runs that, we know we have to fit better, or play a block better, or get off a block. But I thought our effort, when I cut on the tape and I see our guys flying and you see multiple hats at the ball, that's what you want to see. And that's what we're constantly trying to preach and make sure that we get out of our guys is just that great energy, that great effort that you play with.
You mentioned coaches getting your guys ready to play. Obviously, players deserve a ton of credit for doing the job, but when you look at what Steno has done, he replaced a guy that was really popular, really experienced. He did not have a ton of experience. He knew the scheme you wanted to run, but why did you feel like he was the right guy? And has he even been better than you even pictured him being in that role?
Yeah, I would say so. I think he's been outstanding. He's got such a great rapport with those guys in the room. I think Luke Buckus has done an outstanding job as well. It is a team effort in there, but Steno certainly, you never quite know when it's a guy's first opportunity, but when you just look at his past as, a player playing in this league, my prior experience with him in Houston when he was there, I think he was on the practice squad when I was a QC, and then just going through the interview process, certainly gathering a lot of information from my brother who worked with him, and not only him but Kyle and guys like Mike McDaniel, and just listening to how they raved about Steno, it definitely made it more of an easier decision to come to, and we are lucky to have a guy of his caliber, and he does such a great job and really invests not only in the players, but he loves what he does, and he does such a great job for us, from coordinating the run game and just getting our guys to go out there and perform on a consistent basis. And it seems like the challenging part, I think, is when you have so much turnover in that room and you don't get that continuity with the same five going out there. I think that is a big time challenge, and it's a credit to our players, but also a credit to him and Buckus to allow our offense to still be able to function at a high level and get production.
I do not in any way want to disparage your quarterbacking career and all your accomplishments, but you weren't Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback. Do you think that there is something to guys who have to work their butts off to maximize their talent in making them better coaches, that it didn't come naturally necessarily to them, they didn't achieve great things? Is there something to that, you think?
In terms of, I don't know what you're trying to...
Well, like, are they able to relate to guys a little bit better because they weren't given the, all the gifts that Aaron has? I'm not saying that Aaron didn't work hard, but great players, a lot of them it comes really easily for, and then you see some of the best coaches, and they're all guys that had to work their asses off to maximize whatever talent they did have.
Yeah, I mean, I think I still don't quite know what you're asking, but
That makes you a better coach.
I think that anytime you're dealing with a guy of Aaron's caliber, who's not only obviously has the talent, but has the mind that he has, that has the recall, he can't just, it does challenge you on a daily basis, and you got to bring your best each and every day, because he is so intelligent and he's so talented and he's got great ideas, but it's all of us in that room, and couldn't be happier to have guys to work beside every day, like Nathaniel Hackett and Luke Getsy. Those guys, they bring it every day, and so I think it totally is a collective effort with everybody.
Hey Matt, you talked about the defense and how they kind of really turned it on yesterday, but it felt like every time you heard a tackle being made, Chris Barnes' name was being called. What can you say about just where he's gone from the beginning of the year to the performance that he had yesterday?
Yeah, KB had an outstanding game. I think it was probably one of his better performances this year, and we're going to need that moving forward, because that was a really explosive offense. But I just think he's more comfortable in within the scheme, and has certainly gotten a lot of experience, and he's done a heck of a job.
Every week you see teams run the ball a bit and it gets stopped and they just kind of discard it and start throwing the ball over the yard. Obviously you stuck with it last night. A, why did you stick with it? And B, what was the payoff of sticking with it?
Well, I think anytime you're going against a front of that magnitude, you have to stay with the run. And it wasn't always pretty. There were some hard-fought yards I was really proud of our backs, how they ran, you know, and especially late in the game when everybody knows you're going to run the football. But also our offensive line, the way they battled, because that defense does present a lot of different challenges in regards to, number one, they're talented, especially on that defensive line, but just all the different fronts and configurations that they present, and making sure that we ID the fronts the right way, we make sure our targets are on point, and just our ability to adjust to what we're going against. So our guys stuck with it, and like I said, it wasn't always pretty. The numbers don't look great, but I think that when you're playing a team of that caliber, you have to stay with the run. Otherwise, it can get ugly. And but I was really proud of our pass blocking ability as well. I mean, they had the one sack, and that was one where Aaron scrambled up in the pocket. And, you know, but I thought all in all, they did an outstanding job.
Matt, has what Joe's done with the scheme sort of been what your vision was with it, or has he taken it some areas that, you know, maybe you didn't really envision him going with it?
Yeah, but I think it's all of the guys. It's Joe, obviously, is the leader of that defensive staff, but you know, when you have guys like Jerry Gray and Kirk Olivadotti and Jay Moe and Mike Smith, Ryan Downer, all those guys collectively have done a great job together of meshing it and making it the Green Bay Packers scheme.
Let's go to Zoom. Sarah, go ahead.
Hey Matt, I actually have a question about your punter, but first a quick clarification on your quarterback. Is the reason for him not to get the surgery because that would throw the Chicago game in 2 weeks into question, or would he be able to play either way?
You know what, I haven't really gotten too involved with those conversations. I'm just kind of taking in the information and you know, kind of waiting to see what route we're going to go.
And then on the Horquist, what does it do to a team to have the type of presence that he has at that position, the ability to flip the field, just in terms of managing a game and approaching a game? And you were around a pretty good one when you were in LA, and Hecker, I know your mind was on the offense, but does it remind you at all of anything that Hecker was able to do with the Rams when you were there?
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you have a punter that can flip the field the way that Bojo has this year, it definitely it's a great feeling to have, because if you don't convert or whatever, and you get a guy that can bomb it and get a 61-yard net and pin somebody inside, you know, you can't really coach that stuff. So it's a credit to his talent and what he's been able to bring here.
Last one, Aaron Nagler.
Coach, when you hit Devontae for the big one, when he was in the seam, lined up in the slot, and you motion out DeGuara, and the Rams basically have to adjust their coverage, is that something you've been setting up the entire game? How much of that is we just happened to get the right look and they just reacted the way we hoped they would? How much of that is calculated and how much of that is luck?
Yeah, I would say in that situation, definitely hit the call, but also knowing how the structure of the defense, how one of the things that's, I would say, challenging going against the defense is they typically won't give you many man zone tells. So if you have a non-normal at number one, be it a tight end or a running back, and they've got a corner out there on them, you're not necessarily thinking that it's man coverage. So that is because a lot of teams will displace one of those guys and put them outside to get a man zone tell, and then they'll call a man beater if they see man, or a zone beater if they see zone. And the fact that this defense typically doesn't do that, it does make it a little bit more challenging on the offense. So we just happen to have the right call for that situation. I'm pretty sure it was a man coverage look for them, and you know, we benefited from the fact that they bumped Jalen out to number one, and we took advantage of the matchup in the slot.